Around 1200 BCE, some of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world suddenly collapsed. Powerful kingdoms disappeared. Trade networks broke apart. Major cities were destroyed. Entire populations were displaced. Ancient Egyptian records blamed a mysterious coalition known as the Sea Peoples. But who were they? Were they invaders from distant lands? Refugees fleeing disaster? Pirates? Migrants searching for new homes? Today we'll examine the evidence and explore one of history's greatest mysteries. Before the collapse, the Eastern Mediterranean was highly interconnected. Trade ships carried copper, tin, gold, ivory, grain, and luxury goods between kingdoms. Diplomatic letters connected rulers from Egypt to Anatolia and Mesopotamia. Many historians compare this era to an ancient version of globalization. Because these societies depended upon one another, disruptions in one region could affect the entire system. Between approximately 1225 and 1150 BCE, numerous civilizations suffered catastrophic decline. The Hittite Empire disappeared entirely. Mycenaean palace centers were destroyed. Many cities in the Levant were abandoned or burned. Trade routes that had existed for centuries suddenly ended. Historians refer to this period as the Bronze Age collapse. The term Sea Peoples comes from Egyptian inscriptions. Egyptian pharaohs recorded attacks by groups arriving from the Mediterranean. The most famous records come from Ramesses III at Medinet Habu. These inscriptions describe enemies arriving by both sea and land, bringing families, carts, and possessions. This suggests something larger than simple piracy. One of history's earliest recorded naval battles occurred when Ramses III confronted the Sea Peoples. Egyptian artists depicted ships crashing together while archers fired from shore. According to Egyptian accounts, the invaders were decisively defeated. However, some groups survived and settled elsewhere in the region. Egyptian inscriptions mention several different peoples rather than one unified nation. Each group likely had its own homeland, language, and culture. Modern scholars continue debating where these groups originated. Some may have come from Greece, Anatolia, Cyprus, Sicily, Sardinia, or other Mediterranean regions. Many scholars believe the Peliset later became known as the Philistines. The Philistines settled along the southern coast of Canaan in cities such as Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, and Gath. Archaeological discoveries reveal cultural influences from the Aegean world. This suggests migration from across the Mediterranean. Most historians no longer believe the Sea Peoples alone caused the Bronze Age collapse. Instead, they were likely part of a larger crisis. Climate evidence points towards severe drought. Earthquakes may have damaged cities. Food shortages could have triggered migration and conflict. When combined, these pressures created a perfect storm. Ancient Egyptian records depict women and children traveling alongside warriors. This has led many scholars to view some Sea Peoples as displaced populations rather than simply raiders. They may have been refugees fleeing collapsing societies. Like many migrations throughout history, movement likely involved both peaceful settlement and violent conflict. Recent genetic studies have transformed our understanding of ancient migrations. DNA from Philistine burials suggests people with ancestry connected to southern Europe entered the Levant. However, there is no evidence for a single Sea Peoples ethnic group. Instead, the evidence points toward multiple migrating populations. From a genealogical perspective, tracing descent from specific Sea Peoples groups is impossible using traditional records. The time period predates surviving family documentation by thousands of years. However, ancient DNA studies help researchers understand how populations moved and mixed across generations. This is population history rather than individual genealogy. The story of the Sea Peoples remains relevant today. It demonstrates how environmental change, economic instability, and migration can reshape entire civilizations. History rarely involves a single cause. Complex events emerge from multiple interconnected pressures. The Sea Peoples remind us that human societies are often more fragile and more adaptable than they appear. Despite centuries of research, many questions remain unanswered. New archaeological discoveries and ancient DNA studies continue to reshape our understanding. The Sea Peoples remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. Thank you for joining me as we explored one of history's most fascinating mysteries. The Sea Peoples may never be fully understood, but their story provides valuable insight into migration, cultural change, and the collapse of civilizations. If you enjoy history, genealogy, archaeology, and ancient DNA research, Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and follow for more content from Ancestral Spotlight. I look forward to seeing you in the next presentation.